Hello, hello everyone. Jess Claire here with the awesome and apparently the second most enlightened man on the planet, Michael Lauria. Michael Lauria. No, Tom hates it when I say about him too. I like to play with the fact that we're all after some sort of competition to be the most enlightened. So Michael, it's Lauria. I am saying that the right way?
Michael Lauria, yep.
Yes. Michael Lauria, why don't you introduce yourself? You are in the hot seat instead of Tom tonight, and we are going to explore why every Tom, Dick, and Harry is a coach, something that I saw you posted about this week. So I'm like, let's talk about it. You did?
Cool. Okay. I did. All right. Well, my name is Michael Lauria. I'm a men's coach and a relationship coach. I'm also the author of Forging Excalibur that you can see in the background there. Forging Excalibur, Rediscover Your Masculinity, the book's called, which is a polarizing title in and of itself, isn't it? Some people think it is. And I've created a suite of programs around that. I've just been offered my own international TV show as well, which launches and premieres on the 18th of November in the US. So I'm pretty excited about that.
Oh, cool. What sort of show is it?
It's basically going to be a talk show format. So I'll be hosting and then I'll get guests on to talk about different things. Very much like this. Very much like
this. Is perfect. I'm giving you some practice. How good is that? Oh, that's great. Well, thank you so much for being here. And I think this is a really cool topic to explore because, here we are, you're a coach, I'm a coach, and we're having a discussion on coaches, and if you are anyone that is watching, please engage with this. If you do have this thought, why is every Tom, Dick, and Harry a coach? If you have had that thought, what is it that people are so annoyed about with this? Oh, hello, Kate Gray.
Oh, hi, Kate. Hi, Kate. Kate's bloody awesome. She's one of my favourite people in the world, Kate.
She is awesome. I'm so excited to see her come in here. Is this what it took, Kate? I just needed to get Michael on. Now I'm really thrilled. Okay. This is if you've ever had that thought, please do make a comment. Everyone's a healer. I joke about they're a sound bowler. Everyone's got a title now. But why is this so triggering? That's what I'm fascinated with. Were you triggered the other day when you wrote that post? Because like I said, you had angry emojis.
I did have angry emojis, but look, well, I want to put some context around that post. Yeah. So yes, there was angry emojis, and you can actually talk to Kate Gray about that because Kate taught me that marketing is the art of getting attention, right? And so it was a bit of an attention grabber, the flames and the angry emojis, etc., etc. I wouldn't say that I was triggered. I've had this opinion around coaching and the coaching industry for a number of years now. And I reckon probably especially the last couple of years. And the reason why is this. I have walked a path of my own. I've gone on my own journey over 15 years or so. Let's say about 14 or 15 years. And I've gone through my struggle, my adversity, my pain, my struggle, and I've found a way through it all. Plus on top of that, I've gone off and I've educated myself around counseling, and I've educated myself around neuroscience and neuroplasticity and the relationship between the conscious and the subconscious mind, psychology, and neuroscience, right? And also neuropsychology. So I feel like I've done the miles, and I also feel like I've got the experience and the wisdom that comes from experience as a result of going on my own journey and helping others on their journey too. That doesn't make me the best. It also doesn't make me more of an authority than anybody else in the coaching space. However, what I am finding, especially lately, and I spoke into men's coaching specifically in my post, and that was because I'm noticing that and the title of my post was every Tom, Dick, and fucking Harry is now a men's coach, right? And I don't think it's good. I don't think it's good, because you get some of these 20, 25-year-olds coming in deciding to be a men's coach. I know one in particular, right, who, and I'm not going to name names, but I will say he was the recipient of a rather large inheritance. All power to him for that. And so what he did was he used that inheritance for fancy marketing, and then called himself a men's coach. And he looks magnificent. He looks magnificent on social media. Experience, zero. I have a client who came to me last week, and he said, Michael, I need help. I was trying to get help from this guy, and I'm just worse now than I was before, because he couldn't hold me through my process. He couldn't hold me through my pain. He didn't know the answers to my questions. He couldn't even help me. He didn't have any processes. He created this program, and he didn't even know how to facilitate it properly. And so this was what really motivated that post, because I'm seeing it more and more and more. Every week I'm seeing someone stepping up as a coach, and I look more at men's coaching than anything else, because that's what I do. And you know, even yesterday or the day before, there was a guy that came on Facebook, and I'm connected with him on Facebook, and he said, I just did this 15-minute talk, and it was about men and masculinity and all this stuff, and somebody came up and said, there's Jeff, another awesome human being.
Geez, we've got the big guns on this show tonight.
Yeah, we do. Kate and Jeff. We don't need anyone else. We've got Kate and Jeff. And so, and he posted and he said, I've decided to be a men's coach. I did a 15-minute talk. Somebody came up to me afterwards and said, that really landed for me. You helped me. And now all of a sudden, he said, if I became a men's coach, who would do my program? And I thought, wow, here's another one that's just going to step into the ring and help people, apparently, from a place of no experience.
Yeah. Okay. This is a really awesome topic. So let's get into it, right? Because I was thinking, if I was listening to this, what would I be thinking about it? So a couple of things. Firstly, I'll just say hello. Hello, Christy. Hello, Jeff. Yep. Anyone else that is watching? Yes. Anyone else? What do you think about what Michael said? I did already tell him that this is an interactive, we're exploring all ends of popular debate here, right? We're like exploring everything. So one of the things I thought about with this was when I think of men's work and when I think of men's health right now in, 2020, what we have is it's men up to the ages of 40 or maybe a little bit less than that. It's the leading cause of death is suicide, right?
Yep.
So like the leading cause of death, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right. So the way I think about it is any guy that's going out to try to make a difference, anyone who, even if, I went through it when 8 years ago when I did my first personal development program and I wanted to be a coach, and then I started to coach everyone, including my partner. I was like coaching them, think positively. And I was so annoying. Annoying. We all go through that.
Really on too.
We have to, right? So it's like, well, how do you, you just said you went through it, right? How do you grow into being an experienced coach without putting yourself out there? How do you do that?
So I think there's a responsibility that comes along with being a coach. People trust us. People put their well-being and their livelihood and their relationships and their mental health and their state of being at a very deep level in our hands, right? And I learned this early on because when I first started, I was a counsellor, and that was 15 years ago now. I was a counsellor. So I did lots of just vanilla counselling, right? Nothing special, nothing around the conscious and the subconscious mind. It was really, how does that make you feel? And tell me about those feelings. And, that was the kind of counselling that I was doing back then. And so that's kind of harmless. Right? Because you're just kind of getting people to explore their feelings and to understand themselves at a deeper level. Where I'm going with all of this is when you start to get people stepping into really deep shadow work without having done their own shadow work, without understanding what that even means, without delving into the depths of their own hell, understanding how hot that gets, how can you possibly get to a point where you could guide someone else in that process? And what I'm finding, and so I'm going to answer your question because it's an important question. How do you get the experience without doing it, without helping people, right?
Yeah.
You get the experience by doing it yourself. That's the very first thing. You should never, ever, ever, ever allow somebody to entrust you with their psyche and shadow work unless you have gone to those depths yourself, right?
Yeah.
And it's dangerous stuff. It's dangerous stuff to start on that path with someone and then get to a certain point and then not know how to proceed with them and not know how to help them, climb out of the hell that you've helped bring them into, right? And this is the part where I really have an issue, because we have people's well-being in our hands and we are entrusted with that, and it's a betrayal of that trust when we haven't done the work ourselves and we can't guide them on a path that we haven't walked yet.
I totally get what you're saying. What I can see, and I mean, maybe you've got a different experience, is that mostly what new coaches or people do is, when I think of people coming out, like I did my very first thing was a Landmark Forum, right? And then some people go and do Tony Robbins,
Yep.
or some people do a weekend course of NLP, right? Whatever it is, they come out and they have what is a new view of life. And then suddenly they're like, oh my God, I can't believe I even didn't know this stuff. I just need to tell everyone about it. And now I can finally see that I can make a difference to people, right? But generally what I see is that they're trying to make a difference to things they have overcome. But it's just in terms of what it is, it might be a simple thing. Like I've seen people that have gotten through breakups really powerfully, so they become breakup coaches, or they've had a death in their family and they've gotten through that powerfully, so they can help people through death. So that's what I see, is that people already had these experiences. They just weren't really connected to how much they could give back. But maybe that's just one of the things. Maybe what you're saying is at another level, it's like there are actually people out there that are severely like they have their own trauma and then they're trying to coach people in trauma.
Yeah.
Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, there is definitely that. And these are the people that I call wounded healers, right? And when I talk about the wounded healer, and I've talked about this in other posts as well, or in another post a couple of months ago, the wounded healer is that person who is very deeply wounded by trauma, something they've gone through, some kind of abuse or trauma in their past. And what they're actually trying to do, they're trying to heal their own trauma by helping others. And this is the wounded healer syndrome. And we see this stuff a lot in the so-called spiritual world, where we see a lot of these people out there who are deeply spiritual, but incredibly wounded and have a lot of unhealed trauma, who then go out into the community and try to help others overcome trauma that they haven't yet overcome. And this is dangerous. I don't think that a traumatized person, an unhealed person, a person with a fractured psyche should be going out there and helping others put themselves back together, because they haven't done it themselves yet.
Whew. Okay. Now I'm going to go right in.
Go for it. Haven't we done it? We haven't gone right in yet?
We haven't gone right in yet. No,
right,
we haven't. Okay. There's a couple of things. The first thing is,
yep.
Yeah. Oh, someone's just saying experience is imperative. This is great.
Experience is not just imperative. In my view, it is vital. It is vital that people have, at the very least, their own experience of overcoming their own adversity, healing their own trauma. At the very least, if they've got no actual clinical experience or experience with people, at least have walked the path yourself, gone on your own hero's journey. That's my brand language, right? Because I speak a lot into Joseph Campbell's hero's journey. Go on your own hero's journey. You must have defeated your own threshold guardian. But a lot of these people, they get to their threshold guardian on their hero's journey and they fail, that they don't overcome their threshold guardian, and they go, oh shit, now what am I going to do? Oh, there's a person over there that feels like they're worse off than me. I'll go and try and help them, and maybe then I'll be able to overcome my threshold guardian.
Yeah. Okay.
Maybe
So
that'll make me feel better then.
So I see that this is like a paradox in a way, because what is trauma? You've studied it, so what is it?
So trauma is different for everybody, but trauma is really when something has happened to you in your life that has created some kind of fracture in your psyche. And what that really means, if I were to go even deeper and explain what a fractured psyche is, it's a psyche that really has stopped operating at its potential capacity, or at capacity, right? Which is able to reason through things reasonably well. A psyche that is able to understand what it means to be a good quality human being, that understands that sometimes they have triggers, sometimes they have projections, if you like. Sometimes there are projections, and that the relationships in their lives are a co-creation of them together with somebody else, and their whole lives are a creation of whatever it is that they believe. And I might even say, somebody just said that, emotional fragmentation, and it's really got to do with emotional intelligence. What is our level of emotional intelligence?
Yeah. So is this is self-awareness, right? Because when I think about it, when I think about it, I mean, the simplest form I've gotten to is this. Something happens. The thing that happened is really not great. At times, it's awful. And then what happens is that person makes up some form of meaning, attaches it to that incident, and then does not know how to let go of that meaning, to the point where it makes more and more and more and more and more of it, sort of pathologizes the whole incident into the current time. And really the job of a coach is just to somehow get that separate. That happened.
The job of a coach is to help unravel all of that.
Yeah.
And help that person understand how the story was created, and then help them resolve that within them, and to create a different way of being where they can move into the future with something that actually, with beliefs in us. And even if they have to create another story, at least a story that serves them.
Yeah. Okay. So what you're saying is that if you've got trauma, and you're trying to actually assist someone through that process, and you're traumatized about similar things, is that what you're saying? Because we can't. Go.
No, that's okay. There's a bit of a delay. It's not even about similar things. Let me try and put this a different way. So if we have trauma, and myself, like everybody else, we've had trauma in our lives, right? We've had trauma. And I run groups, I facilitate groups of men, and I do one-on-one coaching as well. If my trauma was unhealed, and it doesn't matter what it is and in what capacity and what context that trauma affected me, if that trauma was unhealed within me and unresolved within me, it would unconsciously project outwards in my coaching. And when somebody else would come to me and say, Michael, here's a question for you, I need this question answered, or someone doesn't show up in the coaching environment, in the group, at the level at which they need to, or I need to call them on something, how do I know, if I haven't resolved my trauma, how do I know that I'm not just projecting my shit onto them? How do I know? And it doesn't have to be the same trauma. I can have, let's just say I have had, not that I have, but a lot of people have sexual trauma from their past, and how that manifests in life, like right now, is that they will feel emotionally insecure. They'll generally feel unsafe, and there'll be this instability within them, right? And that projects outwards in ways that they can't possibly predict. And that comes out in their relationship. It comes out in their professional life. It comes out in how they think about themselves. And it also comes out in when they are talking with another person, whether it's a friend or whether it's a colleague or whether it's a client if they're chosen to be a coach. And this will be an unconscious projection. It's not that they're doing this stuff intentionally. It's an unconscious projection that comes from unhealed trauma. And that's the dangerous stuff, right?
And so how, because from what I can see with people is that this is all unconscious. So how would you even know if you are a coach that's unconsciously impacting people?
So the projection is unconscious. The projection is unconscious, right? However, everyone knows. People know whether they're doing this and they're being if they're being a good coach or they're not being a good coach. People know if they've got unresolved trauma. People know if they are emotionally damaged. People know if they are mentally fragmented. People actually know. And then it's about taking responsibility for that and going, you know what? I really, really should heal this before I go off and try to help others, because that's the right thing to do.
And so people that are not doing that, you're saying that they recognize it, but they're not healing it. And therefore, it's like they know.
Everyone knows that whether they have unresolved and unhealed trauma, and where it probably comes from, and what they probably need to do in order to heal it. Everyone knows. There are some people who don't want to admit it to themselves, but everyone knows.
Yeah. Well, let's look. I like to use myself as an example. So let me use myself, right?
Yeah.
Up until very recently, I would say that I had unhealed trauma around relationships, right? I don't know if it's trauma. I think it was just, I had a marriage breakdown a few years ago. And what happened after that is I pretty much closed myself up to a relationship, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I knew that it was unhealed. And I'd keep going into relationships hoping it would somehow resolve itself, and then it wouldn't, Yep. It would not, it didn't, right? However, I'm a great business coach, right? Mm-hmm. What I would do is pretty much own that I was pretty crap at relationships.
Yep.
And if anyone asked me for advice, I would say I am not your person to be asking about relationships.
You then, I've got a question for you then, Jess, if that's all right.
Yeah, please.
So then in business and in corporate, there are different types of relationships. And so, and everything in work environments, everything in life, in our human, existence is all about relationships. So I wonder, did you find it difficult to do certain levels of business coaching when there were interpersonal relationships involved in a corporate environment or within a business or an organization? Did you then find that challenging to help people in that capacity as a result of your own unhealed trauma around relationships?
No, I didn't, because I wasn't, let me put it this way. It was, personally, I find, and this is why I'm so curious about this issue, right, is that I haven't found a human on the planet that gets to a point where they're healed 100% forever. Like they've somehow made it to healdedom.
Yep.
And they're healdedom. And there's not something that happens in life.
Yep.
Right? So I took the case that, okay, this relationship's not working. Obviously, something's happened with my personal relationships. I just didn't hide it.
Yep.
I wasn't trying to go, I'm great. Right? Yeah. Sorry.
But imagine so you took responsibility. Imagine if you had this unresolved stuff around intimate relationships, and then you thought, maybe to help me heal my shit, I'll go out and help other people heal their shit in their intimate relationships. And then maybe I'll feel some sense of validation around the fact that that I'm actually okay in relationships if I can help others.
I see what you mean. So I have seen someone recently break up with their, okay, I now know what you mean. Okay, I think we've got two different things here, right? So I mean, it's fine for you to say that. You could say, well, Jess, you could say, well, Jess, you broke up with someone, so therefore you're not qualified to be a coach anymore ever, right? You're not saying that.
Absolutely. No, I'm not saying that at all.
No,
Depends on what capacity, right? But when you're dealing with someone's psyche, this is a big responsibility. It's a big responsibility. So you can have unresolved trauma within yourself around intimate relationships and be in the process of healing that, but that doesn't necessarily have to get in the way of you being a business coach.
Well, no, in fact, I think it enhanced it, because what I had clients who were saying to me, I can't run a business because I failed at relationships. And I'd be like, well, I'm doing okay. Like I would actually say that. What that has nothing to do with your capacity and potential as a business owner.
Totally.
Right? If you've
Sorry, go, Jess. There's a bit of a
I know. I was just going to say that in fact, I promote owning exactly where you are in life. When I had that marriage breakdown, I did have to quit one of my businesses because I could not function in it.
Yep.
And it was devastating because I really loved that business and I had to let go of it. But at some point I went, all right, that's over. That's happened. I'm going to start again. And I started again. Mm-hmm. And I built myself up again. And I built it up to a place where it got successful again. But I could tell that I still wasn't ready for a relationship. So when I went into conversations with people, I would say, I'm here. Like I would be able to say, life isn't perfect. Neither's business, as you would know. It has its ups and downs. Every now and then I make a stupid error in business and I screw it up. And I'm like, be open, be where you are, share that. Mm-hmm. Don't hide it, So absolutely, I think the whole situation was like, oh, okay, well, Jess is not bulletproof. I'm not. I'm just a human being, So I think that
I'm no different. I'm no different, right? I'm not bulletproof. I'm a human being as well. I had somebody send me a private message about that post from yesterday morning, and they said, Michael, it appears as though you think that you're the best and that you've got all your shit together. That's what that says to me, that post. And my response was, just have a look at your unconscious projection and then get back to me on that, because there is a part of that when I call these people out, they don't want to be called out. Okay, because they feel like this is part of their healing process, when in fact they can go on their journey and heal within themselves without having to potentially further damage somebody else in the process.
Yeah, okay. I think that's okay. Let's pick up on that point where they said getting your shit together, because I mean, I'm always actively looking at how to find ways to let everyone be safe, right? So safe, like to heal, safe to be able to go, I'm just human too. Let me share with you what's happening with me. And I might go to the edges of it, right? I never want anyone to think I've always got my shit together, because I think every human on the planet doesn't have their shit together, including President Trump, Scott Morrison. No one has their shit together. And there's this reinforcement in society of this, bulletproof culture, right? I think we all have to like pretend that we do. Now, I think sometimes when you have an opinion like you do, that's what I think we explore, is that you have this opinion which is actually possibly a genuine concern for you, that people are getting impacted right now by some of these coaches, right?
Yep.
And your stance on this doesn't arise with, I've got my shit together, so therefore I get to have a voice on this. You're not saying that. You're going...
No, I'm not saying that. No, I'm not saying that. No.
You're saying there's this genuine issue here and I've got a voice on it, right?
Yeah.
However, in saying that, sometimes it does leave people, and I know I do, I'm like, is this judgmental? How do you have a voice like you did without leaving people like you are somehow the authority on it?
So I'll answer that question. And I think everything's about everything in life, right? I talked about everything's relationships. Everything is also about context and perspective. Everything is about context and perspective. So this particular person that reached out and had a judgment about my post, that was the first I'd ever heard of this person. Okay. So that person hadn't seen any of my sharing prior to that. It was like he hadn't seen my video from 2 months ago where I did a live video, and I'm like, shit's getting real down here at Forging Excalibur headquarters, right? Going through, it's a shit show at the moment. I'm going through some stuff, and this is the stuff that I deal with on a day-to-day basis, and it's hard, and I'm trying to navigate my way through it, right? And and so I think context is important. Never, ever have I represented myself as a perfect person or a perfect coach, or that I have all of my shit together. What I have, the way that I represent myself is this. I don't have all my shit together. I'm a human being. However, when I don't have my shit together, I'm really quick to be aware of the fact that I don't have my shit together, and I have good quality processes to get my shit back together.
Yeah.
Really quickly, right? And so that's the difference.
Yeah. So you've trained yourself to a place that when I call it, you basically just go off. You go off. You start interacting with some meaning, and you go off. Like you're just off. You're off your path, whatever, right?
Yeah.
And you've trained yourself to notice that and bring it back really quickly.
Very, very quickly, Jess. And I think from an external perspective, that could look like perfection, but it's not perfection because I'm not perfect. And so I can understand how somebody could look at that and go, well, and look at my process, and like every day I show up, every day I'm doing something on purpose with passion, connected to my core values, my purpose, my vision. I'm always aligned. I'm always in resonance, right? And people see that. And I've had so many people say, but it just appears for all intents and purposes that you don't have any challenges, that you don't have any problems, that things always go well for you. And it's like, well, things mostly go well for me, and I generally don't have that many problems, and I don't generally have that many challenges. And do you know why? Because I have gone to the absolute depths of hell in my own psyche every now and then, and I go on a shadow walk and I do my shadow work on an ongoing basis. So it's like a car. It's like it requires regular maintenance, and so does our psyche. And I do this all the time. And so when I call people out, or when I have an opinion on something, it's not just something that I've decided. I've woken one morning and thought, I've got an opinion on this, I'm going to put it on Facebook, right? It's always very well thought out. I have evidence to back it up, and I've checked in with myself to ensure that it's not some unconscious projection, that it's not some thing that I'm trying to prove, that I'm not looking for validation or approval. It's actually a genuine thing that I want to get out there. And most of the reason why people are usually polarized by some of the things that I put out is because, as we talked about before we went on air, I talk about a lot of the stuff that most people would love to talk about, but haven't yet developed the courage to do so. I can't hear you, Jess. There we go.
How about that? That was a cosmic interruption.
That is heaps better.
I was just saying that I'm confronted by this conversation. I'm noticing myself like, oh my God, Michael, God, are you saying this shit? Right? I'm confronted by this. So I'm now, like I said, I would, if I get triggered, I have to tell you, right?
Cool.
What is it that I don't like about this? I think it's because it seems like, and I'm not saying it is, I'm just like this is the curiosity that I bring, right?
Mm.
It seems like it's a judgment on people who haven't done that kind of work that you've done, right? May not be the case. And I notice myself going, one of the things I check in with myself all the time is my own education and transformation. Like I actually have this saying is one day's transformation is the next day's ego trip, right? It's like, I don't want to ever use the amount of work I've done to be some sort of hall pass to point the finger at someone else and say, oh, you guys get your shit together because I have. Totally. You know, I'm not saying that's what you're doing, but I noticed that that's what it's absolutely sort of triggering in me. So I go, how do you have these opinions? And I don't potentially do it as boldly as you do. And it's probably why. But how do you have these opinions and put this out there without at the same time actually keeping the compassion for where everyone is at?
Because I've learned how to compartmentalize different aspects of myself in a really healthy way. And I've also learned to separate the part of my ego that is judgment. And so there is no judgment for people that are that have gone through trauma and that have yet to heal from the trauma. I have very deep levels of compassion for these people because I used to be one. I used to be a person who went through trauma, and I lived for years unconsciously projecting, onto everyone and every situation in my life. And so I know what that feels like, to be living life unconsciously, creating results that are undesirable, pissing people off all over the place and not understanding why, right? And so I have very deep levels of compassion for people that have trauma that is unresolved and unhealed, yet I have no tolerance for them going out and attempting to heal other people from their trauma when they are yet to heal theirs. That's not a judgment. That's, don't go and fucking damage other people while you're still damaged.
Yeah.
That's what that is.
Yeah. So you've seen this happen. So I was, like I said,
time and time again. And as recently as last week, when I had a man come to me, and I sort of touched on this before, right? And I don't, oh, hey, Jessica Palmer, I just called Jess.
Yes.
And this was last week. So a guy contacted me on Facebook. A man contacted me and he said, Michael, I really need to talk. I've been following you on social media for a little while. And so we organised a call, and he got on the call and he said, I've been coached by this guy for, I think it was 2 months, and I'm worse than what I was. I'm worse than what I was. I feel even less stable, more hopeless, I feel a deeper level of helplessness. I don't feel like he can help me. And in fact, I think I'm worse, right? And so, but this is not the first time, Jess. This happened at least every few weeks with me, or because I'm part of another coaches group as well, where there's about half a dozen of us who are men's coaches, and we get together every little while, every month or so, and we're in a group together, and we just jump on a Zoom call and we all support each other's work. We do very different things in terms of men's coaching. We've got very different approaches. However, all valid. All of us have the wisdom from experience. All of us have done our own really deep work. And if somebody doesn't resonate with me, for instance, for whatever reason, I've got half a dozen other people that I can refer them to who I know, right? So this is, and so because somebody else said to me, oh, you just don't want any competition. And it's like, I don't have a problem with other men's coaches, right? I actually am very, very good friends with other men's coaches. It's got nothing to do with competition, because I don't think that we should or can actually compete with other people, because there are people who will resonate with what I do and how I do it, and my brand. There are people who just go, fuck, that's cool, I want part of that. And there are other people that resonate with one of the other brands out there, or one of the other coaches out there that I'm associated with, or somebody else. So this is not about judgment in any way, shape or form. And
Yeah.
it's also not about me saying that I've got all my shit together and I'm the guy to come to all the time,
Yeah.
for everyone.
Yeah. Sometimes, because I am a coach, and sometimes, and I'm not saying this isn't the case, I'm just really looking at getting it distinct, right? I always like to look at it distinctly, because sometimes people can come and say I'm worse off, right? And when I actually look at what happened, and I was like, well, what happened? And they were given coaching and they didn't take it.
And they didn't do the work. Yep.
They didn't do the work. And then they go to someone else and go to another coach and then go, oh, that coach is bad, right?
Yep.
Because that is notorious in the coaching industry. It's like,
absolutely.
Yeah.
And I have developed a discernment over the years to be able to discern between the two. This particular man sort of said, this is what he did. And it was shadow work. It was shadow work. So I think most people in here would know what shadow work is. It's delving into the very depths of our unconscious mind to explore, heal, and resolve all of the things that we have studiously avoided for years and years and years, and the stuff that we suppress and push down and don't want to deal with and all of that, right? And it can be, it is very confrontational, right? If you go deep enough into the shadow, you question who you are as a human being. You question every decision that you've made in the past. You question your very existence if you go deep enough, right? And so this is a dangerous place for a traumatized, unhealed person to be taking another person on that journey.
Yeah, it's very, very distinct. So I'm thinking now of a person that I saw had a marriage breakup just a few years ago. And basically hates her ex-husband with a passion.
Yep.
Like hates him. And now wants to do coaching on narcissistic trauma abuse.
Okay, so there's a prime example. Okay.
Yeah. And yeah.
So that person,
I remember thinking that was not a good idea.
Absolutely not. You know what? That person now has a very deep unconscious bias around narcissistic personality disorder and narcissistic traits, and that person will see unconsciously, because their reticular activation system now has been triggered, notice certain traits. And we all have narcissistic traits. So this person will go out there in the world and they will say, oh, you're a narcissist because you have a level of confidence that I don't feel comfortable about, and it reminds me of my ex-husband. And so you must be a narcissist, and so you need help.
Yeah. Oh, look, I could talk to you about the narcissistic thing. I really do. I actually think it's the new black. Like, people when they used to break up, they just broke up because they cheated on each other. Now they break up because everyone's a narcissist.
Everyone's a narcissist.
Yep. And everyone is. And you talk to each partner. I was going to do a documentary on it and go and talk to all of them and find out that every single breakup that's gone badly in the planet, there's all narcissists. Everyone is calling the other a narcissist. It's like, okay, it's getting a bit boring now. How about we just acknowledge that, I'm not talking about the actual narcissistic personality disorder. I do know someone that had a partner with that was very, very different. They were like, completely different. I'm talking about the fact that we just throw it around because people can't communicate, they get lied to, and people actually react with anger when they get frustrated, and that can sometimes be dominating, and so people call that narcissistic. No, it's a human reaction under pressure. It's what people will do to each other to try and gain control.
You can never judge somebody in their entirety and make a judgment about their whole psyche based on one act, right? In a moment of high stress, high pressure, because when people are in a state of heightened anything, they will usually act very much out of character unconsciously.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so in terms of this, it's like what you're referring to, and I think this is a really good discussion, you know, because this group has, this group has a lot of coaches. And, you know, you could say that Michael went out there and he was projecting. He might have seemed that way. I mean, I saw an angry face and I jokingly said, "You seem triggered, Michael. Do you want coaching?" You know, you can have fun with it.
I thought that was funny.
You know, you could see it like that. But what effectively I can hear you saying is you're putting out there that there are people that have had stuff happen to them and not deal with it. Instead, try to heal themselves through becoming a coach about the actual topic that they themselves still have not dealt with.
Correct. And even
that
is the epitome of an unconscious projection.
Yeah, so that's not, like I said, it's not me having a marriage breakdown, actually going through it, being upset about it, and being a business coach and sharing it and owning it. If anyone came to me, as they had for the last, few years, I'd be like, "Do not ask me about relationships."
Yes, ain't my thing. Ain't my thing, baby.
Yeah, no, not my thing. But talk to me about business. You can talk to me about business. That's okay. And social media, absolutely. But that's owning it. But if it's people that have, let's say that this is one of my favorite things actually. I had a guy come to me and go, "You need me." I'm like, "Why do I need you?" He goes, "I've got a PhD in business." And I said, Have you ever created one? No. I was like, "I don't need you."
Yeah, exactly.
So it's like I want someone that's been in the trenches. And I think that's also what you're saying. You've been in the trenches. If you want to be a men's coach, get in the trenches of men's work. Actually move yourself.
But you know what? Like, engage in men's work. Do the stuff. Do all the things. Do the shadow work. And have an experience of yourself. Like, have a really deep, good quality experience of yourself. And then when you have come out the other end, and when I say come out the other end, that's not now you're perfect, now you're healed, now you're the epitome of masculinity, right? What I'm saying is you've come out of the other end of your trauma. You've come out of the other end of your lack of self-awareness. You've come out of the other end of your life of living unconsciously, right? And now you're self-aware, or as self-aware as a human being can potentially be. And you know what it feels like to do such deep work that you question your very existence and who you are as a person. And then once you've done that and you've come out of that, then by all means, go for your life. Go out there, be a coach, help people do the same thing. But until you have gone to the point of, questioning who you are as a human being, questioning everything about yourself, questioning your judgments, questioning your projections, questioning your very thoughts, then don't feel like you're in any way qualified to go out there and help other people and help them to heal their own psyches unless you've done it yourself.
Yeah. And I think it's a really, really good point, because when you say qualified, it's easy to get a coaching certificate over a weekend these days.
I'm not talking about that sort of qualification. That's pointless, right? It's
experiential, isn't it? I think when sorry, you go.
I think it's rather delayed. All of the I've got some, if I told you my qualifications, it's pretty impressive, right? But that's not the point. And it's not about the qualifications. It's about, most of my work, most of the work that I've done around in qualifications and what I've got, pieces of paper, they just help me from a therapeutic perspective, right? Just from a therapeutic perspective. When it comes to my coaching and when I'm actually coaching, it's experiential, my own experience, the wisdom that comes from experience. And plus on top of that, over that journey of learning about yourself, you also develop a very, very deep connection with your own intuition, right? And along the way, I've also learned about facial, you might want to call it facial recognition in a manner, body language, all that sort of stuff. So you pick up on cues. it's all experience. It's just all experience, and it's all about how deeply you've connected with yourself, so then you can deeply connect with another person.
Yeah. No, that's beautiful. I think someone asked, considering there is so many coaches out there, right? How do you just determine who you will go with and who you won't? Because like you said, you can be someone that's got money and have flashy brand.
Yeah.
How does one make a choice about who to go with?
So go with your gut, but that's a real easy answer. I don't like easy answers. So go with your gut, definitely with your intuition, but it's very easy to research these days, right? It is so easy to research. Everyone is on social media. You can find out really quickly whether how long this person's been around for, what experience they've got, etc., etc. I'll give you a very, very quick example, right? There's a young guy out there, he's 22, and I know of him. I don't know him, but I know of him. This is the same guy that got the $100,000 inheritance. And what he does on his social media, he says, I'm a coach that helps successful married businessmen with children, right? Optimize their life. That's pretty much what his bio says. And then I'm going to tell you who he is and what he's done in life. He got a $100,000 inheritance. He only just got married 2 or 3 months ago. He has no children, and his first business is this one. And he started this 4 months ago, and he just came out of nowhere, right? So it's very, very easy to figure out who's the real deal, who's genuine, who's got the runs on the board, if you like, and who doesn't. And so if you look for nothing else but experience and the wisdom that comes from experience, and someone that has a track record, somebody that is proven that they have done this thing that they are doing now for a reasonable length of time, and there's a track record there, they've got clients, it's obvious they've got clients, it's obvious that their clients are getting good results, that their clients are speaking very highly of them, and that they can prove that they have somehow gone through some adversity, some struggle, some pain, come out the other end, and they've done it themselves, and they've done their inner work. Like, I'm not saying I'm the be all and end all. I'm not saying I'm the only go-to men's coach out there, but I tick all of those boxes, right? I've been around and I've done pretty much everything in terms of what it takes to be a good coach and what it takes to be a good coach for men, right? Not a lot of people can say that. The half a dozen other coaches for men that I speak with are on a regular basis exactly the same. So I'm not being precious about my brand or me or anything like that. It's like just have a level of discernment that you would use when you're going out and buying an investment property. Go and have a level of discernment that you would use to choose who you're going to marry and spend your life with. Have that same level of discernment when you go, this might be the person I want to have kids with, right? That's the level of discernment that you need to have. That's the level of depth that you need to go in when you are choosing a coach, because that coach, you are going to entrust that coach with your
absolutely,
with your relationship, with your career,
business,
life, business, whatever. Plus, on top of that, you're going to entrust that person with your psyche, the deepest parts of yourself, right? The deepest parts, most people don't give the deepest parts of themselves to their life partner. So if you're going to hand that shit over, you better make sure the person can hold it and then help you to nurture it and grow that in such a way that then when they give it back to you, or when they, whatever it is that they're going to do, that it's better than it was before.
Beautiful. Now, I just have one last question, because I think everything that you just said is really, really awesome. For people that are wanting to be coaches and have no experience, or may have just gotten some sort of lease where they're like, I want to be a coach. Well, basically, I think it all comes from a place of really wanting to help others and make a difference, right? and they may not have any experience, but they don't feel as though they can say it, because we do live in a society, right, where we feel like we have to hide stuff and look the best and put pretty things on Facebook, right? What would you say to them right now?
Yep. So study Joseph Campbell's hero's journey, right? Go on your own hero's journey first. Go on your own hero's journey. Just delve into the depths of your own psyche, deal with your shit, resolve it, heal it, be honest with yourself, take responsibility. Be the student before you go out and be the teacher, and be the student of yourself. Be the student of yourself, and then once you're an expert at yourself, right, then go out and be an expert with others, or at least help them to become experts of themselves.
Yeah. How do you know that you're at a place that you really are completely free to be and free to act? What's your guide? Yeah.
When you have a level of self-awareness that this is called metacognition, right? When you have a level of self-awareness that you're able to observe your thoughts as they are formulating in your mind, and you can make a decision as to what you're going to do with those thoughts and how you want to project externally, right? When you are consciously aware of how that process happens and you do it really, really well most of the time, right, then you're ready to go out and help others.
Yeah. Because even the best of us, like you're the second most enlightened. I'm maybe the third. So even the best of us.
You even said that. I didn't say that I'm the second most enlightened person on the planet. I didn't say that. That wasn't me.
No, just for those that watch this show every week, we joke about, like, you know, how there's that we're all trying to be the best. Yeah. So, I'm better, like the best coach. It's just more of a joke. But even the best of us, even the people that do train, even the people that are the most self-aware, you just said it there, most of the time, every now and then, you don't always catch your thoughts. You know, now, eventually you do. You just get quicker at catching it, right? So I'm just pointing out, it's like, it's not that we're ever perfect. It's not that you ever get to this place that you've arrived and you're suddenly enlightened, and then you can, you know, connect to this, I don't know.
And that's why I say most of the time. That's why I say if you can do that most of the time, and I mean 80, 85, 90% of the time, then absolutely go for your life. Yeah,
absolutely. Awesome. Thank you so much for being on this, Michael. I hope this is
You're welcome.
I think this has been great. I think it's a really important discussion, and, you know, keeping true to this evolution solutions. This is about evolving and how we evolve as human beings, not into perfection, but into the greatest expression of ourselves.
Totally.
So thank you. Thanks for being a part of it.
You're welcome. Thanks for the invite. Thanks for the tag, Haley.
Yeah, Haley. Hello, Haley. Jess Palmer. Yeah, she did. She said hello. Thank you for tuning in, Jess and Robert. Who else was there? I can't see. There's so many Facebook users. I hate that I can't see you. Hollywoods. Those that did tune in, thank you for tuning in. And again, you know, Michael is an awesome coach. Thank you, Chris T. Is there what is your next? Have you got another program coming up or anything that you've got on offer at the moment?
Yes, so my programs are called Branded Forging Excalibur. And so they basically start with Ignite the Forge, then we go into the Call to Adventure, and then the Hero's Journey. So it's a whole experience over 6 months. It's a whole experience over 6 months. So people can just do the entry-level thing, which is a self-paced in a Facebook group, and that's like $795. I think I'm doing a special at the moment for $495. I think
cool. I am. All right. Well,
and then we sort of go on from there, but that's a choice.
Yeah. Okay. We'll reach out to Michael if you're interested.
I was just going to say, if anyone's curious, forgingexcalibur.com.au.
Very cool. Thank you again, Michael, and thank you, everyone. I'll see you next week.